hello. Hello. Wow, I'm on a coal train. Hey, hello. I'm Andrew Turnbull. I might turn into the wind. I was told that was better. And here we go. Sitting on top of a coal train that's sitting on our buckle country. First Nations people. First Nations people all over this country, who never ceded. Never ceded. So if somebody accuses a First Nations person of trespass, but now they're marginalised people in their own land. They're subject to a brutal history which desperately needs to be honestly told. So here I am on the coal truck, okay, and I'm gonna try swapping you around, and we'll just give you a look at what it looks like, and then I'll go back to reading. So I'll turn you around and let's see what happens. So this is the coal, which is sort of very, very dirty, and people say it's toxic, but it actually encapsulates millions of years of life until it's burned and turned into a global warming CO2. But while it's coal, it documents some magnificent pieces of time and some magnificent diversity. So that's what I'm sitting on. And then you look out along here and you can see this bloody long train. I think somebody said 100 trucks, I'm not sure. And there's a couple over there, and there's one here beside me. I'm having trouble seeing the view because of the sun. And then you look out past the coal train. You can see this. So diverse and active. And I've got that going around. Light poles and shit. But that you can see, when I take it back, you can see how large this wetland and coastal flatplains would have been. It would have been a mixture of probably wetlands and coastal forest and like verdant, full of life. And then we come back here, a couple of engines, and the rest of that other train that streams, that snakes off into the distance. Sorry about using the poor old snake as a metaphor for something so destructive. I love my snakes. And then we come around here and we've got our roads, and and I think somewhere in here amongst the wetlands, I don't know exactly where, it would be the river, with the fish that would have come in to breed. Yeah, and then what have we got over here? Big business buildings. And then we'll come back here. So what I might do is get you to look at... Oh, gee. Oh, yeah, here we go. I lost my notes. Wait, don't lose your notes. Okay, I'll turn you around and I'll read a bit. We might have another look as I see if I notice some things happening. I think I might be here for a while. Hello again. Keep sending those beautiful messages. But I'm just going to focus on reading for a while. I might even just take the hat off until the sun comes out and bothers me. I'm not much good at managing more than one thing at a time. So here we go. I'm reading, but I'll try and make it flow for you. Yeah, so we can see, and I just showed you, the remnant bush. We can see the remnant wetlands, and I suppose I was doing just this just then. I was imagining pre-1770 and this diverse, healthy forests and these wetlands teeming with life. And it was only 250 years ago. Only 250 years ago. That's how long. That's the short period. When I showed you the coal, we're talking millions and millions of years. I don't know the time. I know it's a very, very large number for all of that life and that diversity. And here we'll look at what we've done to this place in such a short period. It was teeming with life for the locals, our First Nations people. It was teeming with life. That they'd probably lived, I think the guess is about 60,000 years. 60,000 years. And it was still full of diversity and verdant and such a great place to get a feed. And, I like to think of that as 60 years of sustainable, we talk about being sustainable. Now, 60,000 years, now that's sustainable. And then the invasion, These English people, absolute experts in brutality. The brutality that they refined in its penal systems, and weren't they good at suppressing, the Irish and the Scots, anybody that got in the road, they knew about suppressing them and giving them out pain and depriving them of any decent... Anyhow, I don't know that history greatly. I'll stop there. But their brutality was well refined. And then, of course, they brought their brutality over here, and they used it. They used it amongst themselves, but they also used it extremely effectively against our First Nations people. And as this invasion expands, they took their brutality and they used it to control these First Nations people, to kill these First Nations people. And I think of the classic, poison in the water hole, and the atrocities against... I'm not going to list them, but I tell you what, an author who gives a beautiful account is Kate Grenville. It's just it's an account of the invasion and the frontier wars. she just does a very good at telling that story, an important story to tell. So it's and I've said this already, but we'll say a few things a few times because we've got a bit of time. The account of the invasion and the frontier wars has to be told honestly. It's the honest account. It's the honest account that is the first step, or such an important step in stopping the brutality and oppression. Because the brutality continues. It continued throughout this short 250-year history. And the brutality to the First Nations people, it continues today. We like to pretend we like to pretend it isn't. But a little story. Recently, while visiting correctional facilities, I was put in 3 different cells, and in each of these cells, scratched in the paint, was a small First Nation. And it makes you suppose, and I haven't gone into many cells, but it makes you suppose that perhaps every cell in this country has First Nations flag scratched in the paint. Now, I chose to visit these cells. I chose because I'm a climate activist. But the First Nations people, they don't choose to visit. They get incarceration, not care. They get imprisonment, not empowerment. And they desperately need care and empowerment. Probably particularly empowerment. But they also get the most oppressive statistic. This oppressive statistic is extremely sad for the individuals and their families that have to deal with it, because they, our First Nations people, are the most likely to die, while this facility is correcting them. Black deaths in custody must stop. Black deaths in custody must stop because all lives matter. How many inquiries and royal commissions have we had? So the politicians, they know this atrocity. They know this atrocity, and they choose to do nothing. They choose to do nothing for political expediency. You know, that's appalling. But it's more than appalling. These politicians that choose to do nothing are, according to any reasonable account, are criminally negligent. You know, that's the correct description. They are criminally negligent. If I was a parent and I you know, knew what to do for my child and I didn't do it, I chose not to do, I would be criminally negligent. It's such a terrible crime. It's such a terrible crime. Yeah, okay, so let's have another look around. I'll turn you around and we'll see what we can see. I'm having trouble seeing. Oh, there's my boots, and there's that magnificent coal going to get burnt and heat up the air for my grandchildren's generation. But I'll talk about that a bit later. It's hard. I wonder what you can see. It's very windy today, which makes it noisy. I might just... So what have we got? Yeah, oh look, those she oaks. I've got a stand of she oaks up the back of my place, and I go through them, and I'm told that the glossy black, you know, the glossy black, I hope you can see that, yeah, that's right. The glossy black he eats she oaks. And I'll tell you, I was lying down hiding in the grass there, that's fun, I had a little sleep. But around me was all these new she oaks. And I've heard, I think, David Attenborough talk about the ability of the planet. You give it a chance and the planet's going to regenerate. Well, it certainly seems that way to me. We just got to give it a chance, eh? Yeah, so the she oaks are for glossy blacks. They only eat the she oaks. This is as I understand it. You might want to check. Fact check me. But and perhaps they only eat the ones at a certain time of the year. But I get to cycle past them every now and then, and that's an absolute thrill. Yeah. So, yeah, there we are at our wetlands again. Oh, there's a couple of guys over here. Hello! Gonna wave? No, not gonna wave. Oh, yeah, we've got more cars coming. Anyhow, I'll have to shut you down if I think they're coming up. Anyhow, let's go on with the talk. I think that's the most important. I'll turn you around again. Yeah. Okay. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was young people. I tell you what, I don't have to read this. I've been surrounded by the most amazing, strong, clear thinking. Oh, they're powerful. They're just beautiful, loving, caring young people. They are so inspiring. I cannot commend to you. I couldn't say it before. Blockade Australia. Oh, Blockade Australia. What a force to be reckoned with. I hope you can hear me. So let's read a little. Okay. Yeah, my story about young people, of course it starts because I'm a granddad. And I look after, we're going to have trouble not crying. I look after the girls so my daughter can work. I look after them. Oh, there's just two beautiful little girls. Oh. And I'm so fortunate. These girls I've cared for as they've grown from the start. They're born, and Mum, at the moment Mum could give them over to me, we travelled that. It's just been such a beautiful thing to be with those girls so close to them. So it's these girls, because I'm with them all the time, these girls that focus my thoughts about their future. I mean, how can you not have a child and think about their future? And it's these girls that are the very first reason that I sit here on this coal truck, stopping the coal going to the largest coal port in the world. It's because of those girls. That's the first reason. But of course, these girls that focus my thoughts, they focus my thoughts also on, of course, all the young people. All the young people taking the same journey, or a similar journey. They will be still here after us the oldies are gone. And it's the younger people who will be here as the worsening catastrophes unfold. And you know, when you say that, you think, oh, he's exaggerating. But it's based on science. This is, if you read the IPCC, and everybody needs to read the IPCC. If you read the IPCC, yeah, I'm not talking to you. Yeah, got it. Yeah, listen carefully. You might learn something. I'm not listening. So these girls that, so where was I up to? Yeah, it's the younger who will be here in the worsening catastrophes, as the worsening catastrophes unfold. And it's they who will struggle to survive the grim future predicted by science. That's what I'm saying. It's not made up, it's science. But this science tells us it does not have to be that bad. It's actually, if you get through the SPCC, there's stuff at the end that says, you know, like there's plenty to do. And it's science that tells us that we must stop burning coal. It's stop burning all the fossil fuels. This gas-led recovery with gas-led fucking disaster. Terrible, terrible. Sorry about swearing. The scientists also tell us absolutely, unequivocally, that we must stop logging native forests. And I live down near Eden, and I've been watching them destroy more and more of those beautiful native forests, on and on, relentlessly, turning them into chips and putting them on the ships and taking them overseas. But we've got to stop the logging. It's just as important. It's important for the diversity, the biodiversity, you know, all those beautiful animals. And science tell us absolutely and unequivocally that it is urgent. It is so urgent. The consequences of people trashing the planet are increasingly dire. Increasingly dire. The importance of doing something is increasingly important. But the scientists also tell us that if we drastically reduce the gases such as CO2 and methane, we can stop the planet getting even hotter. We can make a difference, and we have seen it's the reason we can make a difference that motivates doing it. That means that's why we need to do it. And we have seen that doing what scientists say works. We've seen it because COVID shows us that we can act now. Now, like, you know, we acted really quickly right around the planet and are working quite effectively to, you know, deal with COVID. Well, we could have the same effect on global warming. So we can start, and I thought this was a lovely little phrase, we can start with the low-lying fruit. And the low-lying fruit are to stop burning the fossil fuels. Have I said this before? I might say it again actually. To stop burning the fossil fuels like coal and gas, and to stop logging the native forests. These are the solutions which make the most difference. These are the solutions that would give us hope for our young people of the world. There is no choice but to act. How do you say to the young people, I know this, but I do nothing? No. Do nothing? You know it and you do nothing? So, I sit in this coal train. Here we are. I'm sitting on the coal train. And I'm stopping it from going to the largest coal plant in the world. And hey, it's Blockade Australia. Yay, Blockade Australia. It's Blockade Australia that helped get me here. So my hat's off, but maybe it has to be off for Blockade Australia. Maybe I need to put it on again. My hat's off to Blockade Australia. I'm going to put you down. I'll come back. Oh, sorry. I'm coming back. Don't go away. Oh well. You can go away if you want to. Oh. Yeah. So I don't know where you're up to, but I'll have a little chat around the IPCC, because all you have to do is search for IPCC and the document will come up. And it's funny, it's such a simple thing, and I'm so enthusiastic about it, but it's easy to do. It's so easy to do, and they actually make the information really accessible. You look for the sentence, the summaries, and the last, I think it might be near the end. There's this other little, there's just you only have to read a paragraph of each topic, and it really it's absolutely unequivocal. There's no. And the IPCC, I think it's about 240 scientists from all over the world working for free. They're not paid by somebody to come up with a result. They're all volunteers. They're all specialists in their field, and all the research is absolutely thoroughly established. So IPCC, couldn't recommend it any more strongly. Yeah, IPCC. Check it out. So okay. So that was my chat. So I'm actually just gonna do it again. I might get my bottle of water out, because I'm straight, and I'll have a little drink, because that's going to help me if I go into a bit of a chat again. Hey, I don't know if the wind's dropping. It'd be nice if it did, but then the sun will probably come in. Water's a good thing. Fresh water. Town water tastes on chlorine a bit. Okay. Yeah, so hello. I'm sort of starting again. So hello, my name's Andrew, and I'm here on Awabakal country. I hope I'm saying that right. And country never ceded. And it's now, we have marginalised people in their own land and subjects of a brutal history needing to be honestly told. Yeah. Needing to be honestly told. And on the coal truck we have our coal. This here it is here. Our coal. It's like storing millions of years worth of sort of a diversity and vegetation. It's a fossil. You know, that's what it is. It's this account of a past time, such a large piece of time, and such a diverse, accumulated over this. It's diversity accumulated, and yeah, it sort of, I find it astounding to think about what I'm holding, what this is in this piece of coal, and I'll just turn you around. Turn you around. There it is. There's on its way to the largest coal port on the ship to get burnt for a machine, for their progress. Turn you around. So, yeah, I'm flipping over. Here we go. Now we go back because I wanted to show you the distance where you can see the wetland. Well, yeah, the what's left of the wetlands and little scraps of forest. They're not remnant forest. I might have said that before, but they're probably it's a regrowth. The original trees would have been taken out years ago. Yeah. I better turn you around. Yeah, here we go. So I imagine pre-1770, this diverse, healthy forest. It's like a wall would have been old, not little bits left over, and wetlands absolutely teeming with life. And it was only 250 years ago. Just a scrap of time in the scheme of things. Teeming with life for the locals to feast on. And this is something that they had been doing in this nation, this country, lots of nations, for perhaps 60,000 years. That's such a long time. We've been here for 250 years and just sort of made a bit of a mess, really. And they've been there for 60,000 years, and it was still full of life and diversity and complexity and all the things all those other animals need. And I think of that 60,000 years as absolutely the best definition of how to be sustainable. And isn't there a lesson to be learned in there for us folks? Hey, you want to know what sustainable is? And then the invasion. The English people, all experts in brutality, refined in its penal Yeah, mate. No, mate. No. Okay, cool. Yes. Okay. Yeah, I got a cert in here. I'd like to get. I got water. I got food. Yeah, quite comfortable. Thank you for your concern. I was mid-sentence. If that was you before, I was mid-sentence, and I apologise for my rudeness. Thank you. Yeah. We'll talk about that later when you guys come up. Okay. Yeah. Cheers. Thanks for your concern. I'd like to keep talking. Got a message to get out there. You might have realised. Okay, so where was I up to? Yes, these English people, experts in brutality, which they refined in their own penal system. Yeah. They used their brutality against themselves, but then they brought it here and they used it against our First Nations people as the invasion expanded across their nations. And as I said before, Kate Grenville is an exquisite read and an honest account of that. Well, it's a narrative, like she's not it's a historical narrative, yeah, but it's a beautiful read, and it attempts to present it honestly. So and it's this honesty that's so important. It's the account of the invasion and the frontier wars that has to be told honestly. And it's this honest account is the first step in stopping brutality and oppression. It's as simple as that. If you don't say what's really happening, you can pretend it's not happening and go on doing the terrible things that you're doing. It's let's say, call it what it is, Well, and we did some terrible things, but I'm not an expert in that history, so I'll leave it to the experts. Yes, and so the brutality continued throughout this short 250-year history, and it continued, this brutality, it continued unto our First Nations people. It continued right up till today. It continues today. So, a little story where I hope you're not getting affected by the wind, because I can't kind of see. Oh shit, what happened there? Oh, it's gone. I hope that's okay. Yeah. The wind seems to be coming from all over the place. Yeah. So I'll tell you a little story. So I'm a climate activist. You might have gathered that, sitting on a cold rock. I'm a climate activist, and recently I visited was invited to visit a correctional facility, and that involved visiting 3 cells and each of those cells, and it was like an absolute eye-opener to do that for the first time. Thoroughly recommend it. Each of those cells had scratched in the paint a small First Nations flag. And I just leave that fact with you. That in itself, people claiming sovereignty in that space because they can't get any care, because they're unempowered. My God. So I kind of supposed that every cell in the country, and you know, every cell in the country has its First Nations flag scratched in the paint. You know. But you know, I chose to visit this jail. I chose, you know, I knew it was a consequence of being an activist, but you know, First Nations people, they don't choose to visit jails. They get given, they get incarceration, instead of care, and they get imprisonment instead of empowerment, when it really they desperately need care and empowerment. But even worse than that, they get the most oppressive statistic. And I weep inside when I think of the suffering of individuals and their families, because that's this oppressive statistic is that they're most likely to die. They're most likely to die. I mean, and that is absolutely appalling. They're most likely to die when they're in these facilities that are correcting them. The black deaths in custody must stop, because all lives matter. How many inquiries and royal commissions have we had? Hey, the politicians know this. I'm calling out because I've got an audience. The politicians know this and they choose to do nothing. It's the politicians that are criminally negligent. If they let black lives, if they don't think Black Lives Matter, they're criminally negligent. If they don't do anything about it, they're criminally negligent. So, here we go. I'm going to turn you around and we'll have that was a bit dramatic. We'll turn you around and we'll have a look around. There's our coal. There's our train heading off to the largest coal port in the world. I just find that's unfathomable. I used to live at Appin, and they'd trundle a truckload, you know, like one after the other down the hill. But you got so much coal all in one train. Off it goes down the tracks. Wow, so much coal so quickly delivered to this largest coal port in the world. Oh, what an atrocity. What an atrocity to the whole planet. You know, all of this coal turning into CO2. What's, you know, just adding to the heat, you know, adding to the heat of our planet, you know, causing the fires. I haven't really talked about the fires. I lived near the fires. Yeah, our climate fires. My second baby was brand new, absolutely brand spanking new, about a week old, when her house was full of smoke, and we were running around the house, stuffing blankets under the doors and the windows, and trying desperately to keep the smoke out. because we wanted to protect her lungs. And the media was pretending it's not climate causes the fires. And you get the word unprecedented, one after the other, unprecedented this and unprecedented that, unprecedented heat waves. And they're pretending it's not climate fires. And there's my little newborn granddaughter, and we're frantically trying to keep the air clean for her. Sorry, that was a divert. Yeah, there's our she oaks that the glossy blacks love to eat. You know, you can imagine, like quite dense she oak forests, all around this. I might see this area with like little families of I'll just have a chat with this guy. Hang on. Yeah, I'm going well. Yeah, I am. Thanks. Yeah. Yep. I've been asked these questions before. Listen, I'll tell you one thing. I have recently had back surgery, so I'm quite concerned. I had a laminectomy in the back in Canberra Hospital. I haven't got any documentation about it, but I got helped up. What? Yeah. I'm not going to talk to you about that. Not now. I've got a message, an important message. I'm just letting you know that I've got a back issue, and other than that, I've got food and water. I'm absolutely not resisting. I might lie down. Yeah, but what? Oh no, that's not resisting. I'm not going to talk about this. I've got other things to talk about. If you want to talk to me about the climate catastrophes that are unfolding around the world, I'll tell you some of my story. If you want to listen to my story, you're more than welcome. Yeah, Andrew. Yeah, I'm Andrew Turnbull. I'm a school teacher. I'm Andrew Turnbull. I'm a school teacher. Okay. Sorry, I was a school teacher. Now I'm a climate activist and a carer, and a carer of these my two beautiful granddaughters. Let's see where we were up to. I think I might have been about to talk about. Yeah, let's talk about the young people. Okay. So yeah, here we go. I'm a granddad. Granddad. I look after the girls, 2 girls, so my daughter can work. Hey, and it's the best job in the world. It's absolutely the best job in the world, and I've done that. I've done that since they were brand new. I've done good for both of them. Yeah, I've seen them grow, been with them, like 4 days a week sometimes, since they were born. So it's these 2 beautiful girls that focus my thoughts on their future. I mean, of course, if you've got a young child and they're all over the planet, you're going to be thinking at some stage about what their future is like. Yeah. So these girls are the absolute first reason that I'm sitting here on this coal truck, stopping the coal from going to the largest coal port in the world. It's these girls that focus my thoughts on. All the young people still here after all us oldies are gone. Because it's the young people who will be here as the worsening catastrophes unfold. And it sounds, like you're overstating it. It sounds like I'm overstating it. But if you read the IPCC, that's a scientific document. And that's exactly what they say. They say that these catastrophes will get worse. As the planet heats up, it'll all just get worse. Bigger fires, worse storms, larger floods, more water, and the accounts of what's happening at the moment, heat bubbles the word unprecedented occurs over and over again with these sorts of events all around the world. Fires in the Arctic, where it's not an overstatement. It's a scientific fact. And going back to our young people, it's the young people who will have to struggle to survive this grim future that is predicted by scientists. It's there. They'll be in there battling the fires. They'll be in there, trying to escape the floods. They'll be in there trying to get out of the storms. Or homeless because they haven't. It'll be the young people in the poor countries who were following their families as they become refugees. And I haven't really even talked about the suffering this country puts on its refugees. But going on to science, it's science. Science that tells us that it doesn't have to be that bad. We don't have to have, worsening catastrophes. We can change that. The scientists show us that we can do things to stop it getting worse, and particularly to stop burning coal. Did I say that before? And all the fossil fuels, and that scientists that tells us absolutely unequivocally that we must stop logging native forests. And I pause because there's books written about the importance of that diversity, the importance of those forests to humans. But it's based on science. And it's scientists that tell us absolutely and unequivocally that it is urgent. It is so urgent. Because the sooner we make changes, the better the outcome for our children's future. The consequences of people trashing the planet are increasingly dire, but the scientists also tell us if we drastically reduce the gases like CO2 and methane, we can stop the planet getting even hotter. We can make a difference, and we've seen that doing what science tells us works. It's a beautiful example, COVID. COVID shows us absolutely clearly that doing what scientists say is important, and it also shows us how humans as a collective right around the world are able to act now. Like what COVID is, I don't know, coming on 2? It's not 2? Yeah, it's the same age as my granddaughter. Okay. No, a little bit younger. It's maybe 18 months old. COVID shows us, and here we are. We're around the world. We're neglecting, like of course we're neglecting the marginalised countries, the countries that struggle, but the third world countries. But we can effectively we can change we can fix COVID just by acting collectively as a group. So it's a really great demonstration of the potential for humans to act positively when the situation is serious. And right now, the climate situation is very, very serious. Nice little phrases we can start with: the low-lying fruit. Yeah, well, no surprises what the low-lying fruit are. We can stop burning our fossil fuels like coal and gas. We can stop logging our native forests. They're our low-lying fruit. They're the ones that are going to make these are the solutions which make the most difference. These are the solutions would give us hope for the young people of the world. There's no choice but to act. We have no choice but to act. We have no choice but to act. How do you say to the young people that I know this but choose to do nothing? So here I sit on this coal train, stopping it from going to the largest coal port in the world. What an atrocity that Australia is doing to the world. The implications of sending so much, causing so much global warming, being such a significant participant in the global warming, in exactly the opposite of what the scientists tell us needs to happen. It's a shame. It is shameful. It is absolutely shameful. And I'll have a little chat about the IPCC, because I think it's really important that as many people read that, because it clarifies your ideas very, very clearly. So the IPCC is a document. If you want it, you search for it on your search engine and it'll come up straight away, IPCC. And it's a scientific document. It's a report. Intergovernmental. Yeah, I haven't got it. It's a report. It's wrong. It's a report written by scientists. I hope you can hear me. It's a report written by scientists, and 240, I think, thereabouts. They're all volunteers. They'll do it for nothing. They're not paid by anybody to say something in particular. All their science is extremely well established. And the document is beautifully set up. It's quite easy to read. They've got little passages in blue. They've got passages in blue that are well written and easy to understand and really, really clear. So, you know, go and find that document, read it and share it. And it's got that passage at the end that is really hopeful. It says quite clearly that we can make a change. We can stop this beautiful, well, not beautiful, but this coal from being burnt, and we can rescue our forests and let them cure. I mean, regenerate after things like those terrible fires that stretch from Queensland to the Victorian border in New South Wales and further. So the IPC tells you quite clearly. Beautiful document to read. Go and read it. So I might have a go at trying to. There's a thing here. I'll give you a little scan. I'm trying to work out what's going on. Turn you around. I've got this machine over here in the background. I don't quite know what they're doing. They've got some guy with a thing. He looks like a climber. I don't know. Yeah, it's just this machine. So it's probably going to make a racket or something. I don't know. So I'll try and get through this again one more time. We'll have another go. I'll come back. I can't. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, I turned around probably too quickly for you. Sorry. But anyhow, that's a bit of an overview of what we're looking at. I'll turn around and we'll keep reading because I want to try and keep going on with this message. So let's start from the beginning again. Hello, if you're new. I don't know how this. Never done this before. Anyhow, hey, what a life's, what a pinnacle of life experience this is, eh? Just go and join Blockade Australia if you want to do something exciting. I just had the most amazing week. Wow, the most amazing week surrounded by beautiful, beautiful people. So hello, I'm Andrew and I'm here with Blockade Australia. Hey, Blockade Australia. Let's Blockade Australia. That's what we're doing. We're blockading the coal port. I think I don't know how many trains we've stopped so far, 11 or something. What an achievement. What a wonderful. Hey, Blockade Australia. Yay, Blockade Australia. Bring it on. Come on, Blockade Australia. Let's blockade Australia all together. But here I sit on Awabakal land, and I hope I say that right. I kind of suspect I'm not. So I apologise to those beautiful people. On Awabakal country, never ceded. Those two words carry so much meaning. They never said, "Hey, yeah, come along, you can have our land. You can push us off and send us away, refugees in our own nation." That would have been to start off with. Sorry, I'm being interrupted, but I'll try not to. I really would like to be not interrupted, so if I'll give you a little bit of attention quickly, and then I'll go on. What's that? Can you be quick? Otherwise, you can deal. Look. Let's do this after you. No, I'm stopping. I've told you. Well, you can. I'm sorry. I'll talk to you later. Okay, don't worry about it. Yeah, I'm not going to talk. Yeah, okay. So they're chatting down there amongst themselves. I think they're talking to me. So subjects of a brutal history. Subjects of a brutal history needing to be honestly told. Okay, so here I sit on the coal truck. we can see the remnant bush and the remnant wetland. And I like to imagine, I showed you that before. Well, I like to imagine this place in pre-1770, diverse, healthy forests and wetlands teeming with life. Not just 250 years ago. Teeming with life for the locals to feast on. A life lived for perhaps 60,000 years. Eh? And I tell you what, 60,000 years now, that's the definition of sustainable. I love that. 60,000 years, that's the definition of sustainable. Okay. And then the invasion. English people, experts in brutality, refined in its penal system, using that brutality against its nations, its First Nations people, as the invasion expands. And I thoroughly recommend somebody like Kate Grenville for a good, honest account. The account of the invasion and the frontier wars has to be told honestly, and it's only the honest account that is the step needed towards stopping the brutality and aggression, because the brutality has continued throughout this short 250-year history. It's brutality to First Nations people, and it continues today. Recently, while visiting correctional facilities, they want to correct you. Each cell has scratched in it the paint of a small First Nations flag. And it's easy to imagine that every cell, that's not funny, it's not funny. Every cell in the plate across this country probably has a First Nations flag scratched in its paint. A First Nations flag scratched in the paint of cells right across this country. Does that not tell you a story? You could, but I chose to visit. I was a climate activist. I chose to visit. The First Nations people don't choose to visit. They get dealt out incarceration, not care. They get dealt out imprisonment, not empowerment. And they get the most oppressive statistic, the most tragically oppressive statistic, because they are sadly most likely to die while this facility is correcting them, correcting in inverted commas. That's such a terrible crime. Black deaths in custody, masks, because all lives matter. How many inquiries and royal commissions have we had? And the politicians, you know, they know it, they hear it, and they choose to do nothing. And politicians choosing to do nothing are criminally negligent. I think they're coming to get me. What I've got to do is keep an eye on our machine. Oh, here we go. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn this off. See you later. Have fun.